finally bought a house and got out of the apartment, so I've got the whole basement, and our rehearsal space here is slash studio as well. So
cool.
I've been doing the recording engineer. I've been a professional engineer for the better part of 20 years, and when my son was born, I tried to continue to do studio work, and schedules just didn't work, and I ended up leaving the studio business to be a stay-at-home dad for the past 5 years, and now my kid's in kindergarten, so I've got more music time, and I got so burnt out on working in a studio for everybody else, because it seemed like I was always doing everyone else's records and giving everyone else the extra time and the extra effort and getting nothing done for myself.
Yeah.
And I left the studio business to focus on End of Story, and lo and behold, we put out a full-length record in a year. So
wow.
I don't miss the studio business. I enjoy doing it just for us.
Well, yeah. Sounds like you have a sugar mama then? Career mama?
No sugar mama. I just between Dave and myself, we've collected so much gear over the years. I mean, we're set up. We can make records for the rest of our lives and never need another tool.
Well, that's not what I mean. I mean,
but he does have a wife. He does have a good wife. Yes, I've got a good wife, but
you saying your wife is a I'm just kidding. Now, I wasn't speaking about the gear. You're right. You probably have gear if you've been in the business, and even if you didn't, it's so dirt cheap. That's not the gate anymore. It's the time. So.
Oh yeah.
You said you were a stay-at-home dad. Was your wife or significant other or whoever taking care of the bread and bacon?
Oh yeah. At that point, my wife's an accountant and has been for years and years. So it just made more sense for her, with the college education and whatnot, to go to work and make the money. She's got the education to make more money than I can, and just made more sense for me to stay home and take care of the kid instead of trying to pay daycare. By the time we pay daycare and all that other stuff, my job would be pointless anyway if I was working. So
yeah,
I've homeschooled the kid, and I've got a great bond with my son for all the years that we spent together. So
great.
Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Cool. So Dave, what's your story? Scott said in an email you're you both admitted being Rush heads, but he said you're especially a Rush head. Is that true?
Yeah. My story is grew up in a musical family. Scott and I are about the same age. I'm a year older than he is, and as he said, we went to school together and had our first band ever together when we were teenagers in high school. Went separate ways over the years and hooked back up once or twice, and this time for good, as he said, about 7 years ago. But yeah, I grew up with 3 older brothers, and they listened to Black Sabbath, Grand Funk Railroad, Steppenwolf, Three Dog Night, stuff like that. And so those were my early influences. And later, Rush came along, and I was hooked on Rush right away.
Don't forget Kiss.
I was a Kiss freak for a short period of time.
Me too.
When I was a teenager.
Did you see them? Didn't they used to tour together? Did you see them live?
I know they did tour together. I never saw Rush with Kiss. I've seen them twice here in Wichita many years ago, but Rush was not with them.
That would have been a great.
I have seen Rush a couple of times. In fact, I just saw Rush last year here in Wichita. Scott wasn't able to go to that show, but I enjoyed it. But no, Geddy Lee was definitely as a bass player, one of my big influences. I picked up the bass just by happenstance. A friend of mine who lived across the street bought this bass thinking that it would be cool to play. He never tried. He found out it was hard, and every time I went to his house, I just started picking up this old K bass, and it just called to me every time. I started going over there just so I could play his bass. That's what was the important part of the friendship. And I was hooked. I just took right to it, and I just started playing, and I was kind of self-taught at first, but I did go on to, I played in jazz band in high school and went on to study music at the local college here, Wichita State University. And so I've got a little bit of academic background.
He's leaving out the important part. He got to go to Jeff Berlin's Players School of Music in Florida and spend a week doing intensive study with Jeff Berlin. So that doesn't hurt.
When was that?
Yeah, that was good. Anybody can do that if you're willing to. He does that twice a year. and I just decided I wanted to do that. So that was, 3 years ago?
Yep.
The 3.5 years, 3 years ago this past September, I went, and that was nice.
Cool.
It's all about academics and jazz. That's what Jeff's all about. Is no matter what you're doing, no matter what your art is, no matter what genre you choose, that if you know the academics, it'll take you further. So, and that doesn't hold true for everybody. There are many talented musicians that do amazing things without all the academic training. But for me, it was good and definitely helped me to get where I was. So,
cool.
So yeah, Rush. I used to sit down and learn Geddes parts, like Scott said, back to Hemispheres back in high school, and even some of the older albums. I just used to play along with that stuff until I got those bass parts down. Geddy Lee was just one of my favorite bass players. He was probably my single biggest influence, I'd say.
I just realized the very first song that I ever learned all the way through on guitar was a Rush song. I think it was called Best I Can from the second record.
Caress of Steel or something.
Yeah, second record, Caress. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I learned the bar chords and I could play one whole song all the way through.
Yeah, that's the early Rush is. It's got that nice combo of at least the early stuff, easy to listen to and really play the basics, chord progressions and rhythms. But if you can also take it to another level.
So, to quickly finish my story is that again 7 years ago, got back with Scott. I had quit playing for about 7 years, didn't do anything musically for 7 years. Somebody got me to start playing again, and that was short-lived, and then I hooked back up with Scott. I have a day gig like you. I've got 4 kids, 2 grandkids, and I work, 45 hours a week, and we spend as much time as we can with the music, and that's it. That's kind of our deal.
Cool. Well, congratulations for being the first grandfather on the podcast.
yeah, that's almost 5 years ago I was a grandfather. So
wow.
And I'm a young grandfather, let me just say that.
Yeah, well, see, that's why we don't post pictures on our website or anything like that, because so many young people now, they don't listen with their ears. They listen with their eyes. They watch the TV, they watch the videos, they watch YouTube, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're talking to 2 guys that are approaching 50, and it just turns people off, turns the young set off. I mean, they don't even, dude, is that like your granddad playing in your band? Playing in that band? No.
Do you ever? No, that's funny. Do you ever? Because you're playing in a really contemporary style, and it is. I'll be honest, Scott. When I checked out some of your photos, like, oh, he's an older guy like me, or cool. I don't give a shit because I'm nearing 40 myself. I think it's great, but is it weird?
It's only on the outside. Yeah. We're young inside.
Yeah, well, you sound like you're putting it down in your songs, like any youngster, but maybe it's just a little tougher to get respect because you're playing in a genre that even now is dominated by the young kids. Whereas if you were playing more straight ahead prog, that's maybe it's more accepted to be an old codger.
Right. Well, it could be. But yeah, we got a tune on the Sonic Blueprint called Rewire, and that's what that song is about, is just close your eyes and listen. And what the hell difference does it make, what we look like? Just listen, because if you listen, we don't sound like, it's not like we're playing classic rock,
Yeah.
So many of the guys our age that we grew up playing with, if they still play at all, they've just resigned themselves to weekend warriors, going out and playing their 2 or 3 sets of classic cover tunes to drink some beer and make $1 or $2, and that's it. That keeps them connected to the musician inside them, and that's all they require. And that's not Dave and I. I don't care about playing anybody else's music. I get asked a lot, come out and sit in with us, man. Come out, No, I don't remember. I couldn't play a cover tune if my life depended on it right now. I've spent I vowed in 1995 I would never play another cover again, and the only one that I've played is the remake of Argent's Hold Your Head Up that we did on our first EP. So I don't That's not my thing.
Well, sounds like you and Scott were kind of burnt on the cover tune scene anyway. So.
Oh yeah.
That's why. So I'm curious what comment you made earlier, Scott, that you got tagged as the Geddy Lee sound-alike when you're singing. Have you ever? Let me guess, and let me ask you, what other singers have you been compared to? Because I got one or two in mind.
Well, the first one that I get compared to all the time, and I mean all the time, and I don't hear it, I don't see it. It's a compliment, but I just don't get it. It's Lane Staley from Alice in Chains.
Of course.
Is that what you were thinking?
Of course.
Yeah.
It should be the highest compliment. I mean, Geddy's cool and all, and he's got great range, and but he's got that shrill wail to him. Lane Staley, that guy is mind-boggling. His tone and his soul. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, see, you're talking to a guy that's been doing this for 33 years. So when I was doing all the Rush covers, I was 21, 22 years old. I didn't have any natural rasp or growl in my voice. I had the most crystal clear voice, and I mean, I could sing any note you wanted me to sing. It didn't matter how high it was. That was just, I was just a 95-pound kid that had a high voice, and my natural vibrato characteristics were totally Geddy Lee, and they still are as far as a vibrato is concerned. Mm-hmm. But I just, as my voice started to change as I got older, and it would start to break up and rasp out a little bit, it used to drive me insane. I don't want that kind of voice. I don't want that kind of voice. And finally I just said, I got to face facts. I'm not 21. My voice is going to do what it's going to do. I'm just going to let it be what it is. And I've just completely gotten away from trying to keep it crystal clear and pristine, and I'll let it do what it does and sing from my gut and sing with some soul. And I appreciate the comparison to Lane. I'm not a huge Alice in Chains fan. I'm
a fan, by the way.
I don't,
big Alice in Chains.
I don't dislike them. I mean, their first two records, Dirt and Facelift, I enjoyed both of those records, but after that, I've never bought one of their records, and quite honestly, unless the song on the radio is from those two records, I'm going to change the channel.
Yeah.
And that's just me. I mean, it's no disrespect to them or to Lane or anything, but, I don't hear the Lane Staley in my voice at all, but it's got to be there because I hear it all the time.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, so I'm the same deal. In fact, it's funny. I've never been a huge Alice in Chains fan. A couple tunes, the early albums, yeah, they were cool. Mm-hmm. I heard them. I never had never loved them enough to even put down money for them. But
right.
Stupid. I don't know what struck me, but for the holidays, you want to talk about cover songs. I've been reading mm-hmm. about some success that no-name indie bands like us have gotten doing cover songs, and I thought, holiday cover song. And I was in the gym, and Man in a Box was playing, which was actually I was never crazy about that one over the other early tunes they had, but I thought, Man in the Sleigh, Christmas parody.
That's excellent.
So Dave, if you're a fan, you could hit my site and check out the stupid music song parody video I did.
I'll check it out.
That's cool.
I'm a fan of. I have one Alice in Chains album, actually. I should clarify, and that's Dirt.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely a fan of that record. I love it. I've listened to it 1,000 times.
Man in the Box was the first Alice in Chains tune I ever covered back in the day, and of course did several, but that was the first one.
Well, you'll be horrified at my vocals. I had to lower the key a whole tone, and I'm still breaking up at the top. So.
I'll definitely check it out.
Absolutely.
Cool. Do you guys have any? You gave me your lowdown on what's going on now, but do you have any imminent news or gigs you want to plug?
No gigs because we have no drummer.
Right.
We have a young man that's going to come in and meet with us this weekend. Basically, what we've boiled it down to when we do auditions or whatever, people call, hey, I think I can play in your band. Let's jam. No, that ain't how we roll. Let's get together, sit down, talk, get to know each other a little bit, see if we're all on the same page here before we waste a bunch of time. Because over the past 2 years, we've just dealt with so many people that, yeah, man, I'm ready to go. Let's do this thing, and they roll in and. Well, I didn't really have time to work on all the songs, but I think I can wing my way through these two. And it's like, oh, for God's sake, not this again.
That whole level of we're totally committed to. I mean, we get together twice a week, but there's plenty of homework. Skot's obviously the creator, mastermind, songwriter, engineer, everything there for End of Story. But I do homework at home all the time.
Dave practices more than anybody I've ever met in my life.
Practicing guy, and
wow.
And yeah, you